All right, let's see. Man, we got a message from Jeromeo. What does he need now? Hopefully this isn't another general algorithm command either.
Attention, crew of the Shiro base. General Romeo here. The High Oh, sorry about my imposter there. This is the real General Romeo. Oh, and did I tell you that you can come right down to General Romeo's used car dealership and get $200 off a used car today? But that's not all. Today, if you act fast, the High Council has requested for John Harju to be permanently stationed on the Shiro base as you continue your mission through the Gundam Wing District. Now I gotta get going. Got customers coming left and right over here. Come on down to General Romeo's used car dealership today.
I'm really starting to worry about all these imposters of General Romeo. I'm really starting to wonder who's real. All right, well, John was supposed to be with us anyways to review the first 3 episodes of The Witch from Mercury, so we just might as well beam him up right now.
Wait, what the... Bro, I was in the shower.
Hey, whoa. Put a towel on.
Yeah, do you have a towel?
Right over there in the corner. Yeah. All right, hey, look, General Romeo just called. You've been conscripted. Congratulations, you're part of the Gundam Watch. We're going to be... Yeah.
I've been conscripted?
Yes, it happens. You're part of the... You've been drafted, buddy.
You are aware that I'm originally from the Zeon district, right?
Well, this is going to be awkward.
General Romeo coming in, begin transmission. Should you accept it now, here's your mission. Take your pilot seat and turn on your television. Logging into the Gundam Watch. What is a Gundam? We're gonna answer that question. From back in the classics to the newer expansion. Explore the lore with Dallas Moore and Branson. Welcome to the Gundam Watch. Moyagare, come and join the Gundam Watch. Moyagare, come and join the Gundam Watch. Yamigaeru, come and join the Gundam Watch. Romeo, Gandamu, come and join the Gundam Watch. Brought to you by Geek Devotions comes another podcast to keep your feet in motion. Listening close and see what's all the commotion. Logging into the Gundam Watch. Dallas and Branson bringing their fandom to you with the passion of the veteran instructing the new. We're diving deep, but this ain't Bees, Views, and Reviews. Welcome to the Gundam Watch.
Hello, Gundam fans, and those who would like to be Gundam fans. Welcome to the Gundam Watch, where we are walking through Mobile Suit Gundam and discovering it together. I'm Dallas, and joining me today on the ship, on this great ship, Shiro Base, is my friend, new permanent resident of the base, John. How are you? How you doing, buddy?
I prefer Zeon District Ambassador.
Zeon District Ambassador. Right, going to just write that note down and just throw it away. So, how are you doing, bud?
All right. Yeah.
I'm glad you found a new uniform. That's good.
I like it. It's red and it has the gold trim on it. And I got this neat helmet that has this metal visor, so I've got that going for me.
I think that was the one Branson was wearing. There might be some fleas from Poofy in that helmet. Just be careful.
As long as I don't got no Poofy from Poofy, I'm good.
Oh, goodness gracious. That was terrible. Well, John, you're going to be joining us for our journey through the Gundam Wing series district. However, I was bringing you on board anyways to talk about the first 3 episodes of The Witch from Mercury, which for those of you who are new to the show, John was with us to talk about the prelude. And you left that missing some context. You weren't really sure about the series. And so I asked if you'd come back following the rule of 3, which is you get 3 episodes. And generally by the 3rd episode, people are, you decide if you're going to continue with the series or not. And that's what we're doing today, John. You're going to be taking part in the discussion on the rule of 3, basically.
Okay.
Are you excited? Your silence speaks everything to me.
I'm trying to speak words of affirmation only at the moment. So
wow. Okay. Well, this is going to be a podcast. So what's going to happen here in a second is John and I are going to go into our individual viewing pods, and we're going to be watching the first 3 episodes. Now, I'm cheating a little bit. I've already watched episode 1, so I'm going to be rewatching episode 1 all the way through. And we're going to give you kind of our final thoughts. I want to say this, John, as you go into the pod, I want you to keep something in mind before you watch this. This series, when it was written, when it was done with a very specific purpose. Basically, the people of Sunrise had heard in an interview that young people were not connecting with Mobile Suit Gundam anymore. The stories, the typical Gundam world was not connecting with them. So this was kind of a way of them reinventing Mobile Suit Gundam to do that. So as you kind of go in, I want to encourage you, just kind of have that mindset as you watch today.
So what you're saying is we need to have another world war in order for people to like Gundam.
Possibly. All right, guys. Well, let's go into the pods and let's watch some Gundam. All right, let's see here. Oh, the pod feels good today. All right. So what are my expectations for the first 3 episodes of The Witch from Mercury? Now, to be fair, I'm cheating a little bit because I did do a review, thanks to General Algorithm, on episode 1. So what am I looking for here? Obviously, episode 1 left with some interesting things taking place. Soletta being proposed to all of a sudden, all kinds of crazy things like that. So my expectations going forward is hopefully some resolution to that, understanding a little bit more about the world, get a little bit more into what's happening with these companies, probably. And man, I just don't know. Again, I just have so little information really from the first episode. Like the first episode was good, but I'm hoping for more of an unfolding of the storyline and getting a little bit deeper into who is who and what takes place. I know it's a really vague answer for the question of it. That's really all I have. I'm really anxious to see what takes place here. So let's see here. Tacos, check. Popcorn, check. No poofy around. Let's get this party started.
Okay, let's see here now. I finally got my own pod on here, which is going to be poofy free. The smell is definitely better than it was last time. Let's see here. I'll install my ramen machine here, being as Branson has bogarted the taco machine on this particular ship. All right, so thoughts. My thoughts going into this are I'm probably going to end up seeing a lot more stuff that I'm not catching because it's in subtitles, and I'll probably be confused like I was last time. I'm expecting oh, you killed my dad, now I have to have my vengeance upon your corporation, from the orphan daughter from the prelude. And what else? I'm expecting a lot of real corporate politics garbage, like was super evident on the prelude as well. So all in all, I honestly feel like I'm probably gonna end up being like super meh on this, but I did promise Dallas I'd give him 3 and then we talk about it. So we shall see up to episode 3 and then see where I sit with it then. Here goes nothing. I hope you didn't mind. I kind of installed something in my pod.
Why do people keep jacking with the taco machines? What did you do?
I don't go to taco machine. Branson made it very clear that he gets the taco machine in this ship. So I got a ramen machine.
Oh, well, that does sound good. Was it spicy ramen?
It has any kind of ramen you want.
Oh, we may have to hook that up.
I had some I forget what it's called. What's that spicy cabbage that you have in
spicy cabbage?
Yeah, that fermented cabbage is kind of orange, has a little bit of funk to it.
I don't know what you're talking about, buddy.
I can't remember what it's called now, but it was that kind of ramen, that flavor.
Okay. Sweet.
This is going to drive me nuts now. Kimchi.
Oh, kimchi. That's Korean.
Yeah.
That's
what, they can't have noodle soup?
No, I'm just saying Korean food is quite good.
Yeah.
Cool beans. Well, we're not here to talk about kimchi and ramen. We're here to talk about Mobile Suit Gundam, The Witch from Mercury.
Yes, let's talk about that.
So, and we're going to kind of break this down. We're going to do just kind of a casual conversation through the 3 episodes. We're not going to be doing an in-depth conversation on each one, simply because we'll be here for several hours if we do.
Here's the thing. I because we marathon them, they all kind of blur together. So talking about each one specifically is going to be difficult for me. So I'm probably just going to talk in very general terms about the block of 3 episodes. So
That's fair. Well, let's jump into it. Episode 1 started off, and I would say this first episode was really establishing the ground rules for the world while mixing in flashy mobile suit fights and a glimpse into some of the political drama. I think this was kind of just a hodgepodge of all the elements of Gundam to draw in a viewer.
I mean, yeah, it's. I'll say this much: it didn't really. So just give everybody a peek behind the kimono here. I recently got a subscription to Crunchyroll, and I started watching the original Mobile Suit Gundam. So just to kind of get my feet wet in as far as what Gundam is. So I got several episodes deep in that, and then I started watching this. And I will tell you this much: The Witch from Mercury is. I mean, with the 3 episodes that we've watched now, it's not what I would expect for a Mobile Suit Gundam series.
Yeah,
and I can very much see what you were saying in that they've reinvented it for a younger audience, because that's very much what it feels like.
Yeah, and I'm feeling you, because before I heard that. For context, I am running the Gundam Watch social media. So if you're on Twitter, I run the Gundam Watch Twitter also, and so I'm hearing a lot of conversation, because a lot of the conversation takes place there. And somebody posted up the interview with this guy that was talking about it, and I was like, this makes so much more sense now, because it is so different. We've not had one quite so, I don't want to say kiddish, but so. I mean, it seems brighter than what a normal Mobile Suit Gundam series looks like. It's actually Gundam, not a Gunpla anime.
When I was watching it, the phrase that kept going through my head was teen drama.
Yeah. Absolutely. I can see where you're getting that. Well, is that is that distracting for you as a viewer?
It's like so many other things. I've used this description so many times recently, but it's a lot like grabbing a cup and taking a big drink of milk when you're expecting Coke.
I get that.
It's not bad, but my expectations were set for something completely different.
So, and that's the thing is, and that's one of the reasons why I really wanted you to watch the prelude and hopefully whet your appetite a little bit, knowing though that it was going to be so different, because it was. I mean, this is completely different than what I think a lot of people were expecting.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yeah. If
Nirvana reunited and had a different singer and guitarist, would it still be Nirvana?
Would it still be? From my understanding, the driving force behind Nirvana was Kurt Cobain, so I would say no.
Right. You would say no,
because the driving force, the main writer, the main mindset was him.
Okay, so now let me take that concept and shift it for you. Okay, could that band still be a good band?
Sure.
Would it be appropriate for them to call themselves Nirvana, or should they have a different name?
I don't know. I feel like, how to put this? The problem is you're kind of comparing apples to oranges. A franchise versus a band that was based around a single head.
Well, no. What I'm doing is I'm trying to show you the logic of where I'm coming from here.
Okay.
What it would seem to me, and again, I'm very new to this series, to this franchise, whatever you want to call it. So, I may be speaking out of turn a little bit saying what I'm about to say, but it would seem to me that there's a specific style of storytelling that people expect when it comes to any of the Gundam series.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact that that's not getting delivered in this series would lead me to think that it can be a good series, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's a good Gundam series. And with that said, I think it would probably be better and set more appropriate expectations if they didn't have it under the Gundam brand. Because there's a lot. One thing I've learned since I've started my weebification is that there are several other Mobile Suit style TV shows and cartoons outside of the Mobile Suit Gundam. Yeah. And I think that if they would have gone that route with this and be like, from the makers of Mobile Suit Gundam, we have this completely new thing, like call it, Mobile Suit School, or something to that effect. I think that it would set expectations a bit better than just being like Mobile Suit Gundam.
I see what you're saying there. I do. Let me ask you this. In your approximation, what is the form of storytelling that you think Gundam is supposed to be?
Space war / political intrigue.
Okay. So this is where, and I agree, that's a lot of that. I would say this has that. However, because it's first off, we're in the first 3 episodes, so we're not getting too much into the space war aspect of it.
Absolutely.
But the war is, and this is where they've made a really interesting shift. It is not necessarily between like the colonists versus the Federation, but it's actually between companies. This is more of a corporate level of everything. And there is a little bit of this because we have this conversation about this racism between Spatians and Earthians, where Spatians seem to be the upper class, which is an interesting take of that, and the Earthians being the lower class individuals.
Excuse me, sir, but we like to be called Earthicans.
Earthicans. So that's fair, but I mean that's what we have brewing at the moment, and we get a little bit more of that in episode 2, I believe, with Choo Choo, when she's all angry about about how they're being spoken to by the Spatians. What are your thoughts on that?
Oh, I don't. Like I said, the individual episodes kind of bleed together. So I mean, if you're looking for specific episode,
so big poofy pink hair girl, when she got mad at the lunch table, when the Spatians were
when they were
basically
like,
being mean girl to homegirl.
I got that. I was unfazed. Okay, so for people out there, I'll out of character real quick here. I'm a youth pastor. I work with a youth group, so this is just another day at the office for me. I mean, so that didn't really faze me, and that's a me issue. Like when I see like teenage issues, I just kind of glaze over and I'm like, okay, let's move on with the plot here. So I didn't really focus on that too much outside of thinking that girl's hair was ridiculous.
If you saw that taking place between a white girl and a black girl,
if I actually saw that,
where a white girl came up and spat in the food of a black girl's and a black girl's plate, how would you respond then?
I'd make her eat it.
You make the white girl eat it.
Whoever did the spitting,
right? But the racial divide there—that's the divide we see in this. Not necessarily race, but now it's a whole people group in space versus a people group from Earth.
Oh yeah, but I mean, it's not even just space versus Earth. It's specific planets now too, because they kept calling what's her name, they kept calling Soletta a bumpkin,
Yeah.
which isn't as slanderous, at least not in the English dialect. I can't speak for the Japanese culture,
Right.
but in the same sense, it shows a certain derogatory perspective against people from the planet Mercury.
Sure.
So, I mean, I didn't really see it so much. I more picked up on it as less of a racial thing and more of a class-based thing, because a lot of the divide struck me more as corporate shareholding versus specific location. Like, say for instance, Guel, I think his name is Ghoul or Guel.
Yeah,
Ghoul. Whatever company his dad owns, I think as their stock slides, because as it's probably going to after the events of episode 3,
right?
I think you're going to see that his popularity is going to turn around on him, and he's a Earthican, so
right. Earthican.
I think it's more of a class based system than really locale. But I mean, I could be wrong.
Right. It does seem to be a class-based system, but some of it is based out of the location of the family where they came from, but also their positioning within the umbrella, the corporation. I was about to call it the umbrella corporation.
Corporation.
The umbrella of the corporation.
Bro, if we could get Resident Evil meets Gundam, I would be about that.
I felt like you just described Evangelion.
Are you serious?
Kind of ish, but not. If you're looking at like Gundam's mechs that go wild, that's kind of it. Yeah,
you just piqued my curiosity now. I'll have to watch that as soon as I'm done with Tokyo Ghoul, which I'm in the middle of.
You may want to have a conversation with your psychiatrist before you do that, because it is depressing.
Ooh, I love me some feels.
Okay.
It's hard as a sociopath. It's hard for me to feel emotion, so bring it on.
It's gonna hurt you. So, but yeah, everyone's underneath this group, and so there is a social hierarchy as far, because we even see Soletta's mother, who's not her mother but is her mother. What do they call her? Lady Prospero.
Prospero Mercury.
Yeah. She is, she said she's like at the bottom of the corporation. They're doing that kind of stuff.
But she's still there.
She's still there. So speaking of her, the whole second episode, in my opinion, was more of a focus on the politics of the world. Which
the
is
whole
that
second episode was a giant business meeting.
It really was, but that's, it brings in this whole conversation about stuff. And like, what's her name? Mjorne's dad. She's like, no, this is a Gundam. He's like, yes, it is. And she's like, why? It doesn't meet the standards. And he's like, because I said so. Like he's just this big jerk of like, nope, it's a Gundam. It's like,
yeah, I'm about done with that guy.
I think everybody is. There was memes going around on Twitter and Facebook and Instagram of him, like several panels of him, and of him saying it's a Gundam, and it's like showing like the mobile suits from Robotech, Optimus Prime, and a couple other ones of nope, it's a Gundam, it's a Gundam, it's a Gundam. Like basically he's like this, like he's throwing a tantrum right there. He's like, no, I don't like it. No. And he can't. I think you can tell he's getting frustrated because, he thought he got rid of this whole Gundam situation, 16 or 17 years beforehand, and it's like, nope. Oh no, probably 12 years beforehand because she's 17 now. But anyways, it's just ridiculous. And then like to have Mjorne come in and she's like, "That's it. Forget you, Dad. I'm going to do this anyways." And this obstinance of her. And then her go, all right, fine. And this is what I liked about her was that she goes, we'll play by your rules. I challenge you to a duel. Like she really thinks that Soletta could whoop her dad and they just move past the situation, which put him in an interesting corner to go, I have to own up to my own stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of sucks. It kind of sucks when you're the king and you're like, my word is law, and then you're like, okay, I'm going to use your word. Now what are you going to do?
Exactly. So
I'm exempt.
But that's that political theater that I've told you about that I enjoy about Gundam series, is the movement of pieces and seeing how people are connected and the use of people and how things play out. I think that Soletta's mother is this world's version of Char Aznavold. Not just because she's wearing a mask, but because she is out for revenge and she has put pieces in place. She's changed her name and her identity to get close to the situation. She sent her daughter into the lion's den for revenge purposes.
Here's the thing, though.
Mm-hmm.
You know how you say people who wear masks are typically the bad guy,
right?
I don't think she's the bad guy.
I don't say that. One. Branson says that. I said it can be.
Bro. Okay. First of all, I'm the Gundam Watch fanboy here. Branson showed up in a mask, and you're like, no, people who wear masks are the bad guys.
I said they're often the bad guys.
So, but that being said, I think it's an interesting role reversal. And I think that speaks in volumes to what you and Branson were talking about with the OG Gundam, which is, it's really hard to say that this side's bad and this side's good. Although I will say in this one that, yeah, Big King Jerkface, who changes the rules as he sees fit, I'm done with him. He's a jerk and he can go fall on a fire for all I can hear. But I mean, I can understand the motivations of pretty much everybody else in this series. I'm just like, right. Depending on how you want to look at it, they're not necessarily a bad person. I know they really wanted to paint Ghoul. I guess that's what we're calling him. This is like trying to say someone's name who you've only read for me. But when you they really try to paint him as being a bad guy in this series, and I don't see that. I see him as someone whose father has consistently just, I don't want to say discredited,
put him down.
Just basically has zero confidence in anything his son can do, and basically just could care less really about his son's capabilities, has no pride in his son,
Right.
And so he constantly feels the need to prove himself. And he's trying to find affirmation in a father that he isn't going to find, because his father doesn't have it to give. So I find him to be a very sympathetic character, especially at the end of episode 3.
Oh, totally.
So I came when it came time to record this. Let me back up. So when I watched before I watched the first 2 episodes, going into it, I was expecting that this was going to be a 3 and done series for me.
Oh, okay. Interesting.
Watching the first 2 episodes, the subtitles weren't a problem for me this time. Crunchyroll was a lot easier for me to follow the subtitles than it was on the website that you had me watching it on the last time we watched.
That's interesting.
The preview, or not the preview, the prologue.
Prelude.
So I was able to follow along easy enough. And funny enough, there was a couple times where my quarter of Japanese in college started to kick in, and I understood some things as they were saying them. And I'm like,
right.
So every so often I would hear something and I'd be like, I didn't need the subtitle. And I'm like, I knew that. Yes. But I digress. But I'm watching the first 2 episodes. I'm like, okay, this is high school drama. This is basically like Archie comics with Gundams. Is how it feels like. You got Ghoul, who's like Moose, and then you got the redheaded girl. I can't remember her name. Soletta. She's like Betty, and then the white-haired girl, she's Veronica, and then the guy who's like, I will never fall in love again. He's kind of the Archie character. And it literally is. It's Archie comics with Gundams up to that point. Maybe add a dash of 90210.
I need somebody now to like make that happen for me. Like make a Archie cover with like described like this.
Here's the thing though, it could happen. I mean, Archie did a crossover with the Predator, so
that's true. I saw that.
But I digress. So I when I got to the end of the second episode, I was just like, all right, this is going to be a 3 and out for me, and I'm fine with that. I gave you a commitment for 3 episodes, and that's fine. Then I got to the end of episode 3. Episode 3 changed everything. Not because it gave me what I wanted from Gundam, but because there was so much intrigue that happens in the last scene of episode 3. Mm-hmm. They crafted I'm trying desperately not to spoil this episode because this is such a good episode to go into blind. Like literally there is something that happens at the end of the episode, and I literally out loud said, what? And right after I said that, Soletta Mercury goes, what? Like, I know. And it's just like it was at that moment where I'm like, yes, I want this to happen. I'm literally I'm a fangirl. I can't even call myself a fanboy because I'll tell you this much. I don't think this series was designed with teenage boys in mind.
I don't think so either.
I think that this series was designed with teenage girls in mind to attract the teenage female demographic, which I don't think other Gundam series have done so well picking up on based off of the imagery that I've seen just kind of tooling around on Crunchyroll.
Right.
This is the first one I feel that has really had that kind of an appeal to it. Mm-hmm. And the series has got me feeling a little bit like a brony, dude.
Like a brony?
Yeah, because it's just like, at first I was just like, teenage girl problems, yuck. And now I'm just like, I'm here for it. I need it. Give it to me, all. I'm going to watch the series.
Right.
So I will tell anybody else who's listening who has reservations about this show, give it to episode 3.
Welcome to the Rule 3, ladies and gentlemen.
And you know what? When I say give it to episode 3, I'm not including the prelude.
Yeah.
The prelude is optional. So far, it really hasn't played a whole lot.
Was purely to establish world dynamics for you to understand why the Gundam is outlawed and to give you the drama, the fact that the dude that murdered everybody is basically in charge of the world right now. That was purely, in my opinion, to date, the only reason for that.
Outside of that, well, it will come into play later on some things too, I'm sure. Yeah. But outside of that, give it to the actual episode 3 because episode 3 changes everything, in my opinion.
I can't help but wonder if the prelude was designed to answer the questions I knew people were going to ask in these first few episodes. Like, why is Homegirl wearing a mask? Why do they dislike Gundams? Why, what's all these things happen? Because, like, in the original series, If you remember, like when Branson and I reviewed the first movie, there was this conversation about who is Sharaznebold and Cilia.
Hmm.
And then in episode 2, it kind of developed, okay, they're siblings, we don't understand, but we don't get a full description until episode 3 of all the crazy stuff that's taking place with him being the son of Zeon Daiku and all this other stuff. So I can't help but wonder that when they crafted this, they okay, knowing Gundam history, we know that this is a problem that people are going to be like, why do we care about this situation? Why do we care about Suletta and her mother, and the fact that, like, why is it like really crazy that she's here with a different name and different identity?
I get that, and you're probably correct.
Mm-hmm.
From my perspective, I wish I would have gone into the series a bit more blind without the prelude.
Okay.
Because I have a feeling that the prelude's optional for people like you who want that information.
Mm-hmm.
I come from the school of storytelling where I would rather see it unfold naturally within the story than being told, hey, this. So
I get that.
It's a story crafting technique called show, don't tell.
Right.
So, and it's not to say that I don't get or don't appreciate what they were trying to do with that. It's just it's not what my personal preference would have been. But in the same sense, if you wouldn't have said, "Hey, can you watch this?" I wouldn't have ended up on the Gundam watch either. So I probably wouldn't have a subscription to Crunchyroll, and I would never have watched the entire series of The Vampire Dies in no time.
Oh wow, you've already finished that.
I finished that like almost a week ago.
Oh my gosh.
I devoured that show.
That's so funny. Welcome to Weebhood. I want to get back to episode 3 real quick.
Okay.
Because at the end of episode 3, there is this huge fight that takes place, obviously. And that fight, in my opinion, perfectly shows the actual struggle of what's taking place, which is, in my opinion, the struggle. We have the struggle of corporations, but I think the real struggle is the generational gap. You have the children who are suffering the consequences of this worldly mindset of these corporations, and to the point that you have the son, and you said it, like he's living a life where his dad has no respect for him. He's just a pawn. And I mean, he says, like, do you not have any confidence in me as a person? And he's like, no, I don't. You're just a tool for me to get my to grow myself as a corporate man.
I mean, we're only 3 episodes in. How many times have we seen that guy get slapped by his father?
Oh my goodness. Like it's terrible. There was a meme that went out last week, because he got slapped around so many times about the fact that Amuro, so in Mobile Suit Gundam, Amuro said, "I've never been slapped by my father," and the other guy goes, "I've never not been slapped by my father," which is, it's sad, but for real, it's like his dad just beats the crap out of him. It's depressing to watch. My
dad kisses me with the palm of his hand.
Yeah, no, that's bad. Do not do that. We will come for you. So. But I think that mobile suit fight, it shows that struggle more than anything else, because he's piloting a mobile suit that he's not even in control of until the very end. Yeah,
and the thing about it is, up until that point, it was just like a regular Gundam fight for me. I'm just kind of like blah. But the moment he destroys the AI on his Gundam and just goes into it.
That wasn't a Gundam. It was just a mobile suit.
Whatever, dude. You know what I'm talking about. I'm using the word Gundam for the mobile suits because I am weeb light, okay?
You will learn.
I am weeb adjacent still. So just 1 calorie, not weeb enough. I can acknowledge this. But when he broke the AI on his mobile suit, yeah, all the feels poured out at that point. It was just like, it's like, I know Soletta's gotta win, but oh my gosh, I'm rooting for you, bro. I get it. I feel it. Like it was at that point in the fight where I felt what that guy was feeling. And it's just like, he is not a bad guy. He just at cross motivations with Soletta at the moment.
Yeah. I give you that. And it's sad to see him being put in the situation. I was with you. Like when they started to unfold that story more, I think they played a little bit of that story out in the second episode, and obviously it unfolded completely in episode 3. That's where the switch really turned. Like you went from being, okay, this is just a high school jerk, to like, oh no, like I feel bad for this kid. And actually it reminded me of John, ironically. I was talking with my friend John from my days back in Missouri, and we were kind of
Shout out to
reminiscing,
Fruitiger.
right? We're kind of like reflecting on some of the people who used to pick on him and I. We were not the popular kids there at the school, and we had some kids who decided to express themselves. And I was talking to John about it, going, "Man, what happened to these guys?" And he's like, "Oh, dude." And he starts to reveal to me stuff that I had no idea, like the backstory. Some of these guys were going through some pretty dumb stuff. Like they had some pretty bad home life experiences, which explains why they were expressing the way they did. And that's really what I saw with Ghoul. Was here's this young man who, like so many other kids in this world right now, in the series, they have a terrible home life. They're pawns. There's a few of them that seem to be okay, but for the most part, they seem to be pawns in a grander scale, and they don't know how to express that appropriately.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I could relate to him from my own personal experience. The guy is so desperate for any kind of affirmation from a father figure that, you know, he's literally throwing himself into fights, trying to have any form of praise, saying you are worthwhile. Oh God, I just got my maintenance report.
That's coming later, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah. It's just like I've been there before, you know. I'm fairly open about my anxiety and where it comes from in my church history, and having been under a spiritually abusive pastor,
right?
And that all happened around the same time that my dad was divorcing my mom, so I didn't have really a positive role model in my life. And I was just looking for, and at that time in my life, I was looking for any kind of affirmation from some sort of older male that I could possibly give that to. So I can relate with him on a deeper level than some people can. I think that's the reason why I was so moved at the end of the episode 3.
Yeah.
And why I understood, despite the fact that it came from completely out of left field,
right,
the incident that happens at the very end of episode 3. Like, I get that now.
Yeah.
Because I can understand why he did that. And I'm like, it was still a big old, wait, what?
See, this is the beauty of Gundam that I've talked about several aspects of Gundam that I love. There's the political intrigue. There's the fact that it shows conflict from multiple sides, but has a great way of creating a variety of characters where no matter who you are, you can find a character that you connect with in some fashion. And that's just good storytelling, in my opinion, to create a story where you can connect with a character somewhere. Now, it may not be a major character, but I'm glad to hear that there was this character that they created that you connected with in this way.
It was a character I didn't want to connect with, though.
Huh?
It was a character I didn't want to connect with, though. Because damaged person or not, which he is, right. He's a very hurting person, because as the old adage goes, hurt people.
Right.
But as damaged as he still is a very cruel individual, for lack of better words. And I think that's a learned trait that he got from his father. So I don't like relating to someone like that. But in the same sense, I can't help but have my heart go out for him because of where
Yeah.
he's at. And it's just like, bro, bring it in. Let me tell you about a father figure where you can get this affirmation from. You know?
Word.
I want to
Absolutely.
hand him a space Bible and be like, let me tell you about Space Jesus.
Space Jesus. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh, that's funny. Yeah, that's good though. That's cool, man. Well, let's talk about the mobile suits we saw, man. We saw several in them.
Okay.
Well, what were your thoughts? What'd you like? What did you like?
Where Ariel is Soletta's suit for the people who haven't watched this. Where Ariel is pretty slick. I mean,
Oh yeah,
that's a fun suit to watch. I think that suit suffers from Superman syndrome.
because it's just too powerful.
It's just, I can't, apparently water is its kryptonite. But outside of that, it's just like, you can't, if it's indestructible, if there's no sense of danger in
Right.
it, then there's no excitement in it for me.
That's one thing that people were talking about on Twitter and Instagram over the last couple of weeks was this suit feels like a mid-season or mid-season, at least back end of season suit where like it's been upgraded with something special. Like, and you'll see this as you get more into Gundam. There will be a shift where the main protagonist or one of the main protagonists gets a new suit that's supercharged. You're going to see that in Mobile Suit Gundam actually in the latter half of the series. One of the main protagonists is going to get a new suit, and it is OP, but dangerous at the same time to him. So everyone is saying, man, you're right. This thing seems way OP for what it is at this time of frame.
Yeah. But I will say that Ghoul's suit that he has at the end of episode 3 in that duel, that thing was dope.
That was the I'm pulling it up right now. Not the Delenza. That was the Daryl Blade.
Yeah, sure, whatever. I'm sure that'll be something that'll matter to me at some point, but at this juncture, it's just like a Ghoul suit at the end of episode 3.
Right.
But that thing was super dope, and
Dude,
I liked it. I liked it so much. He was able to do so much better once he killed the AI in that thing. It's just like I feel like Ken Watanabe in Godzilla when I was watching that. I'm just like, let them fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally. Like that fight got so much more epic once he did that. That suit really was bad to the bone, and it just took him piloting himself. And by the way, this will become important to you, these names, when you start going, man, I really want to build the gunpla of that.
Oh, that's just it. I was just sitting there thinking to myself, like, no joke. And Dallas can testify because I've been talking about this in our little side chat, but like I seem to be drawn to all the bad guy stuff when it comes to these things. Like I showed him my cosplay for GeekCon for next year. I showed him the first gunpla that I want to build, which is actually the Red Comet gunpla. And now that I've seen this suit in episode 3, I'm like, I kind of want the gunpla for that now whenever it becomes a thing. So like they're and it's not because they're bad. Like obviously I'm attracted to good bad guys. That's kind of my jam. I like to play the villain in things. It's why I DM. It's why I'm the big bad in Gospel by Gaslight. You know, it's why I play an anti-hero in Supersonic Pod Comics. It's just like I believe that the better your bad guy is, the better your story is, because your bad guy is what creates the story.
Right.
So I enjoy a good villain. And so I think that's what really switches me on to these things. Like the cosplay that I have is for the Xeon army. And it's just like, I want that because that's a good, that's a really good villain base. And it's a sympathetic villain base, to say the
Mhm.
least, as well. And let's face it, Char's mobile suit was kind of slick.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
when it comes
His
to
Zaku was pretty lit.
this series that we're supposed to be talking about, Goal's mobile suit was kind of slick,
Right.
and
Let me ask you this:
Go
what
ahead.
did you think of the compare between the Delanza, which is what he had in the first one, versus his red one in the Darrow Blade? What did you think of the difference between those two?
Oh, it was night and day. I
Yeah.
mean, she rolled him up and smoked him in the first fight.
Yeah, I mean, like the style of it, not necessarily the battle. You're right. I mean, she whooped up on that thing in the first one, but like the feel and the look of of the mobile suit. What'd you think of it?
The first one was kind of sleek and streamlined a bit. I think it's a little bit more visually appealing. Like, hey, that's kind of slick looking. But that second, the Delanza, I think is what you called it.
The Darrow Blade.
Darrow Blade. The Darrow Blade.
I'm sorry, Darrow Baldy.
Whatever.
Baldy.
Okay, whatever. You know what I'm talking about. That was a chonky boy.
I think you had the reverse. The Darrow Baldy was the slick one. In the first episode, it was the Delanza that was chunky.
No, the second one was the chunky one, because that one had the parts that came off of it, kind of like the. Oh, no, you're sending me links.
I'm sending. So as we were live recording, I'm sending links to Gundam.fandom of the images of these things. The second one is the Darrow Blade that he used in the second one.
But it doesn't tell me how many hit points they have.
So it depends if the AI is active or not.
No, that second one is definitely chunkier, because those shoulder pads and two other parts come off, and they get
I see what you're saying.
They get all laser bladey,
yeah.
And as they fly around, like, and that's something else that I've noticed about these Gundam episodes, when they're like, next time on Gundam, they don't give you an honest preview.
Oh no, they don't. Because it's a big tease.
Because I watched that one. They had the blade, the detached blades come off, and he was like spinning, and he was just like a giant flurry of laser blades coming at Soletta and Ariel, and I'm like, oh, that's gonna be slick. And he kind of does that in this, but not like what they do at the end.
Right. I'm curious if that's something we're going to see later.
What I would like to see is that that second Gundam pull like a Obi-Wan with its floating laser blades. And so when Ariel does the whole multi-beam attack that she does, like it deflects it by hitting the lasers with the beams. You know what I'm talking about? Cool. Get all Star Warsy with it.
That would be pretty lit to actually see happen. I'm excited to see, because they seem to be animating the fights quite beautifully, especially when they start using I guess I was about to call them funnels, but they call them drones in this. But once they start utilizing those, it's quite pretty how they do it.
Okay. I'm going to ask a question here that's going to be super spoilery.
Okay.
So when you edit this episode, mark the times down when we have this conversation, so people who don't want the end of episode 3 spoiled, can skip past this. So I've given everybody who's listening to this plenty of time to skip ahead, and I've given you plenty of warning that I'm going to unleash a major spoiler for the end of episode 3. So if you get spoiled by this question, it's your own fault. So who are you shipping Soletta with? Are you shipping her with Ghoul with his marriage proposal at the end, or are you shipping her with that one I can never fall in love guy?
I'm shipping her with nobody.
Oh, really?
None of the 3 suitors, between Mjorne or the
Mjorne is not a real suitor.
She's made it very clear. She's purely in this because she's looking for a way out from her dad. Has no intention to go through with this whole thing. I think by the end of the series, she's not going to be with any of them. And she's going to be she's just so not aware of any of that stuff. If they're going to build a relationship with her with somebody, I think we'll see it later in the season.
I'm
But
just saying as is right now though.
as is right now. Man, I really don't know.
I'm
Ellen,
shipping Guletta.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all there is to it. I am team Guletta.
I'll tell you this. There's several people on Twitter that are rooting with you. I think Elon is less interested in her, but more interested in what she is and what the Gundam is.
I would have loved it if they, instead of calling him Elon, if they would have called him Elam with an M instead.
Right.
Because then backwards, that's just male.
Yeah, that's true. It's the dude. So,
if it was the dude, he'd be like, well, that's just like your opinion, man.
So what are you looking forward to in this series? You've mentioned already that the rule 3 worked. You got 3 episodes in, you're hooked into it. But what are you projecting? What are you looking forward to? What
am I projecting? Soap opera. This is going to be a giant. This is going to be a giant soap opera with laser fights.
That's fair.
I see less emphasis on political intrigue. I feel like the corporate espionage aspect is only there to fuel the teenage drama. It's one of those things like where the kids will mimic what they see their parents doing. Mm-hmm. Sort of like during the French Indian War, when Britain was going to war with France. We were going to the American colonists were going to war with the French colonists in Canada. It's one of those things where the corporations are going to fight, the kids are going to follow in that aspect. So it's only there to fuel the drama, but I think we're going to get teenage soap opera, and I'm here for every minute of it. It's just like, I am already shipping characters. I am already being like picking out squads. Like, yeah, I'm
picking out squads.
Bro, I am here for it, and I am I'm having some very weird emotions with this show that I have not had with the show before. Like,
if they drop any of these mobile suits into Gundam Evolution, I'll let you know so you can download the game immediately.
I don't know, man. I mean, like, this is weird. This is uncharted territory for me, because usually I'm here. I'm like, my favorite animes are either just really way out in left field, bizarro, like the vampire dies in no time. Mm-hmm. Or I'm a gorehound with it. So when you look at like Tokyo Ghoul, Samurai Champloo,
right,
sort of stuff. So
welcome to the magic of Gundam.
I don't know. It's like I don't really want the fights. I want the interpersonal interaction. Like, this is like I okay. So I've watched slice of life anime. Like, I watched July and April. Mm-hmm. And stuff like that. So I know what and that's what this is. This is slice of life anime with mobile suits.
There's some I can roll with you on that to a degree. Welcome to the magic that is Gundam.
Oh, I'm here for it. I am here for it. It's like, people will ask me, why do you like this? And I'll be like, I don't know.
You just got this like traumatized PTSD. I don't know why. I don't know.
I need it. That's all there is to it. It actually, you know what it reminds me of? When I was in grade school and my sister was in junior high, mm-hmm. When we were on summer vacation, my sister used to watch soap operas. She would watch Days of Our Lives and another one.
As the World Turns, General Hospital.
No, it was. I
only know these because that's what my mom was watching.
I can't remember, but specifically speaking, the one I do remember that was watched a lot was Days of Our Lives. Mm-hmm. And after about a week of being forced to watch that, because she was at home and I was at home and we had to share the TV.
Was it The Young and the Restless?
No.
Okay.
It was either Santa Barbara or Another World. Those were the 3 soap operas that got watched in my house at some point in time. But Days of Our Lives is always the constant. And after about a week of being home and getting fed that, eventually it's like I got sucked into the plots. It's just like, and all it is just, it's trash. It's trash TV, but I'm here for it. Feed me the trash. I want the garbage. I will be your visual Billy Goat. Feed me the garbage. I want all of it in my mouth now.
That's so funny to me. All right, cool beans. Well, I think we have your opinion. I'm going to say my opinion is I've enjoyed it. It's been a good series so far. It's been interesting. I'm leaning a little more interested in some of the political theater that's taking place between the corporations. John is simply channeling his inner 13-year-old girl.
You're a jerk.
No, I get it though. Like the relationship stuff. That's what happens, and so. I'm excited that you have been sucked into this, not just through this, but you see me getting into the original Mobile Suit Gundam also. That's part of the reason why I do the show is because I like to talk about something I love, and I have a lot of love for Mobile Suit Gundam for various reasons.
Well, I will tell you this.
Mm-hmm.
You're making the Gundam watch is what sucked me into this whole universe. So you know, regardless of if you make any converts to Jesus through the show, you've at least made a convert to Gundam. So
I guess that's a win. I'm not sure now. I'm questioning things. Well, good. All right, guys. Well, we're going to make our transition now over to the maintenance reports, and we'll see you on the other side.
Now loading the cruise maintenance reports. Reports begin in 3, 2, 1.
All right, and welcome to the maintenance reports. This is where we take a look at the episodes or the movies of Mobile Suit Gundam that we watched, and we give you guys some sort of encouragement out of it. We point you back to some hope and let you know that you're loved and you're cared for, because, and I didn't say this on the front end, this is part of the Geek Devotions podcast network. Geek Devotions is a show from devoted geeks who are devoted to letting people know that they're loved, they're cared for, and there's a plan and purpose for their life. And that's what we want to do here. And we point you back to hope. We point you back to Jesus. And through this medium. Now, John had a revelation in the middle of our recording the episode for his maintenance report. So I'm going to let John give his first.
Do you know why I think that happens to me every time we do something where I have to give some sort of weak connection?
Why?
I think that I have to talk things out in order to gather my thoughts, and like everything that I do these types of podcasts on, my wife's not into, so I can't have these conversations with her.
Right. I get that.
But my weak connection is based on Ghoul.
Maintenance report.
Whatever.
Wrong show.
I'm new here. I'm from the Xeon district, so all the Gundam technology right now is completely foreign to me. But my maintenance report is based on my man Ghoul, who I relate to, despite the fact I really don't want to. And his desire for any kind of affirmation or love or genuine respect or feeling of being proud of from his father. And I would encourage people not to try to find affirmation from others, but instead seek the affirmation from God. And the scripture I have for that is Psalm 68 verses 5 and 6. And these were verses that I held on to when my parents had their divorce, and I was very far from my father at the time, and as he didn't get saved until much, much later. And the verses go, Father of the fatherless and protector of the widows is God in his holy habitation. God settles the solitary in a home. He leads out prisoners to prosperity, but the rebellious dwell in a parched land. And, you know, that is to say that, you know, God is the protector. He will, you know, there's nothing that you can do to make him not love you.
Right.
And he will always affirm you as his son or daughter. And, you know, he will, you know, if you go into the other Psalms, he'll lead you into green pastures, and he'll lead you, you know, he works all things to the good of those whom he loves and are called according to his purposes. So my challenge to you is to not seek affirmation and not seek validation from the lips of mere men, but seek validation and affirmation from your heavenly Father who is eternal, who only loves you and wants what's best for you.
That's good. That's good. I want to add to that. When I was going through some difficult times myself, and some of it dealing with my own family, trauma, divorce, and some homelessness, there was a psalm that kind of echoed to me the similar thoughts of yours. Psalm 121. If I raise my eyes to the hills, from where does my help come? My help comes from Adonai, the maker of heaven and earth. He will not let your foot slip. Your guardian is not asleep. No, the guardian of Israel never slumbers or sleeps. Adonai is your guardian. At your right hand, Adonai provides you with shade. The sun can't strike you during the day, or even the moon at night. Adonai will guard you against all harm. He will guard your life. Adonai will guard your coming and going from now on and forever. And it's kind of like that, the mindset that him being our guardian, being there for us. That's the role that he fulfills in our life, protecting us and walking us through these situations. Not that things are okay, like we're still walking through it, but he's there with us so we can make it. So that's good, man. I like that, man.
Hey, thanks. I came up with it on the spot.
You did great.
I've had to deal with a lot of expository preaching. Expository is extemporaneous. That's the word I'm looking for.
I like it. So my maintenance report is coming out of looking at the what I'm seeing as the real struggle, which is between the adults and the kids, and how the kids are having to suffer from certain things and are having to decide where they're going to lie. Ghouls having to decide, do I just play ball, do things the way my dad wants me to do it, or do I do something different? Mjorne, she's having to do the same thing with her father. And there's this struggle of like, well, this is who my parents are. This is who I need to be also. And there are some people that have this mindset that, well, my parents were messed up. My parents were this, my parents were that. And now I'm having to suffer those situations. But you don't. You are your own individual. You can be your own person. And Ezekiel chapter 18, verses 19 through 20 says this: Yet you say, why should not the son suffer for the iniquity of the father? When the son has done what is just and right, and has been careful to observe all my statutes, he shall surely live. The soul who sins shall die. The son shall not suffer the iniquity of the father, nor the father suffer the iniquity of the son. The righteousness of the righteous shall be upon himself, and the wickedness of the wicked shall be upon himself. And in this verse, what's being put out before the people of God is that, look, because there was a mindset of, if your father sinned, then you're having to suffer the consequences. It's all yours. And God's saying, no, your own righteous. If you're walking with God, you can break the habit. You can break the curse, because there is a curse that comes along when on this passed down from father to child. But you can break that. You don't have to be that. You don't have to live in addiction. You don't have to live in certain things that have been put into your life. You can be a stopgap for generations to come on your own terms, if you are willing to step into that. And so my encouragement for everyone listening is, perhaps you come from a family history of some stuff, maybe some alcoholism, maybe some deep-seated addictions, and some deep-seated fear and anger. You don't have to live that out. You could be different. You can break that really generational curse in your family life and be something different moving forward. And that's what these kids are having to deal with is, do they be like their parents, or do they become a stopgap for the generations to come and be different? So that's my maintenance report.
That's a good word, sir.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. All right. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this has been another episode of the Gundam Watch. I've been calling these bonus episodes that we've been doing with John. I guess this is the last bonus episode with John on the subject.
Can I make a recommendation?
Sure.
What if we put out these episodes like every 5 episodes, and we can talk about it on the side while we're doing the other missions?
I'm down for that.
And that way we can kind of keep up talking about this series while we're watching a different series.
Let's make it happen.
Word.
Cool. So, hey, if you guys missed the announcement last week, we're going to be stepping into the Gundam Wing District here in a little bit on the Planet Geekery. And I'm excited because Gundam Wing is how I got into Mobile Suit Gundam. We got lots of stuff coming down the pipeline for it. I'm really excited because my baby sister, Demara, is going to be joining us for a couple episodes because she's also a big fan of Mobile Suit Gundam Wing.
I got to interrupt you there. I may not be on those episodes then because my insurance doesn't cover her.
Well, we'll have to figure that out. So I think General Romeo might be able to hook you up with some new insurance.
Well, depending on which General Romeo we get, he might sell insurance. So
that's true. It might be the next one. We don't know. We'll find out next time we call, I guess.
Next week on the Gundam Watch.
John, where can people find you, my man?
You can find all the things I do on the interwebs and the link tree that you will find in the show notes for this. Specifically, would like to highlight Gospel by Gaslight. That is, by and large, even if I wasn't involved with it already, my favorite podcast on the internet. Superbly written by our very own Branson Boykin. I truly enjoy being the big bad in that. It allows me to get my evil out in a productive way. So please go check that out. And is this releasing before or after Halloween?
This episode is hopefully releasing tomorrow morning.
Okay. Then I would say also go check out our friends over at Strangers and Aliens. I will be making a guest appearance for the Halloween episode with Ben Avery. We will be discussing the story by Ray Bradbury, Something Wicked This Way Comes. We'll be discussing both the book and the movie. Went back when Disney was still dabbling in family-friendly horror films. So you can go check that out as well.
I dig it. Well, guys, we'll encourage you. Make sure you check out the Gundam Watch on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Just look for the Gundam Watch. Come take part in the conversation and join the community. Also, check out the YouTube channel we have for the Gundam Watch. We're growing that. We actually have quite a few people who have been jumping on there. We've been posting up a few YouTube stories or stories, shorts, whatever they're called, here and there. But come be part of this community and share this out. Also want to invite you guys, make sure you go over to Apple iTunes and leave a review of this podcast and let people know that you like it and that you've enjoyed it. So, all that being said, ladies and gentlemen, until next time, remember, stay devoted, peace and love.
Love and peace.